please.
How your meeting with Netanyahu went over the last couple of days, and how realistic do you think a ceasefire is this week?
Well, we're talking about Gaza for the most part. I think we have a chance this week or next week. Not definitely. There's nothing definite about war and Gaza and all of the other places that we all deal with so much. But there's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement, an agreement of some kind this week, and maybe next week if not.
President Trump and I have a common goal. We want to achieve the release of our hostages. We want to end Hamas rule in Gaza. We want to make sure that Gaza does not pose a threat to Israel anymore. In pursuing this common goal, we have a common strategy. Not only do we have a common strategy, we have common tactics. This doesn't involve pressure, doesn't involve coercion, it involves full coordination.
President Trump claims Israel and Hamas are one step closer to reaching a ceasefire. The president wrote in part on Truth Social yesterday, quote, Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize the 60-day ceasefire. He added, quote, I hope for the good of the Middle East that Hamas takes this deal because it will not get better. It will only get worse. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes joins us now. Nancy, thanks for being with us. How have Israel and Hamas responded to the president's announcement? And does the Trump administration see this evolving into a lasting peace?
Well, Meg, while the president has framed this as a breakthrough, saying that Israel has agreed to the necessary framework, Israeli officials themselves have been a little more circumspect. We've gotten some mixed messages from them on whether they have actually accepted this framework or not. And Hamas is still holding out. Hamas officials are saying that they're working very responsibly to try to achieve some kind of ceasefire. They're not walking away from the table, but they're not embracing this framework either. And so you saw the president in that statement last night, Meg, saying, as you pointed out, that Hamas better take this deal because the terms are not going to get better for Hamas. They're only going to get worse. The question is whether language like that is really going to be enough to force Hamas to sign off, because as we've seen time and time again, there have been examples where the White House says the Israelis are on board, issues threats to Hamas that they need to get on board as well, and often those threats tend to fall on deaf ears.
Tensions may be easing in the Middle East as fresh signals emerge pointing to a possible ceasefire in Gaza. U.S. President Donald Trump has revealed that a deal to halt hostilities between Israel and Hamas could be finalized within days, possibly this week or next. Speaking to the press, Trump said, "We're getting very close to a deal. We want peace, we want the hostages back, and I believe we're almost there." Meanwhile, on the ground in Israel, top military leaders echo Trump's optimism. The chief of staff of the Israel Defense Forces, Eyal Zamir, stated that the IDF's operations in Gaza have created the right conditions for a potential agreement. In a nationally broadcast address, Zamir declared that the military had inflicted serious damage on Hamas, paving the way for negotiations to move forward. "We've dealt a heavy blow to Hamas leadership and infrastructure," Zamir explained. This has opened the door to possibly releasing hostages and pushing for a ceasefire. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also weighed in during a recent interview, expressing confidence in a proposed 60-day pause in fighting. He suggested that half of the remaining hostages, both alive and deceased, could be returned under the terms currently being discussed. "I think we're very close," Netanyahu said after meeting with Trump earlier in the week. The momentum was further underscored by comments from U.S. Special Envoy for Peace Missions, Steve Witkoff. He expressed hope that a 2-month truce could be agreed upon by the end of the week, following recent diplomatic talks. From the Hamas side, senior figure Taher al-Nono told Al Jazeera that the group is prepared to release 10 hostages to facilitate ongoing aid and temporary calm. However, he made it clear that Hamas demands a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and a permanent end to military actions. "International pressure, especially from the United States, is essential," said al-Nono. "Israel must be compelled to stop this war." Despite signs of progress, significant obstacles remain. Disputes over Israel's continued military presence in Gaza and plans for post-war governance have long delayed any final agreement. Will this be the breakthrough moment for a ceasefire? Can hostages finally return home? We'll continue tracking every development as peace talks move forward. If you found this update helpful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for the latest on the Israel-Gaza situation and other world events. #Israel, #Gaza, #Trump, #ceasefire, #Middle East, #breaking news, #IDF, #Hamas.